Welcome back to another video. So today we are going to be doing an installation on the E36 M3. As you can tell from the title of this video, we're putting a steering wheel on the car. This has been a long time coming. The stock steering wheel on the E36s is huge. It is definitely not a sports car steering wheel, at least the one that I have. The 4-spoke, which I'll show you guys now, is quite obviously just the most basic steering wheel. It does have, you know, the M3 stitching, the tricolor stitching, which is cool and a nice touch, but the steering wheel's huge. It's larger than the gauge display, so kind of gets in your way sometimes. It just barely fits in there. As well as it sits, you can't adjust the height on E36 steering wheels, so it blocks your view if you sit kind of lower. And you're at the track. That's kind of a problem because you're sitting pretty low and you are strapped into the seat and you can't really sit up more to look down if you need to. And being that it's this high up kind of blocks some of your visibility when you're tracking. So we are going to remove this steering wheel, but first let's go over the new steering wheel and the contents. So I got a OMP steering wheel from a buddy who was selling it. This is the Superleggera. This is a super nice steering wheel. It's Alcantara stitch all the way around. Obviously it has the 12 o'clock yellow stripe. It does come with a horn, and this is going to be the hub conversion kit. So obviously this is the hub from OMP as well, and then it comes with a new ring and the hardware to install the steering wheel. So this is going to be pretty straightforward. There's not much work to be done. It's just kind of taking the appropriate steps so that you don't mess anything up and so you don't set your airbags off. Now, step number one whenever you are messing with airbags is going to be to disconnect the battery. If you don't disconnect the battery, there is a potential chance that you could set the airbag off when you go to disconnect it or reconnect it. It's not like it's gonna happen, but there is a potential risk. So let's not do that. And I just realized that the battery is in the trunk. I have too many different cars and I always forget where stuff is. There's the battery. So we will disconnect the positive side and just kind of set that aside so that we are not charging the system. Once you've disconnected the battery, now we can head over inside the car and we can start removing the stock airbag. Now, in order to do this, there are a couple different steering wheel designs for the E36. This one in particular, the screws that hold the airbag in, there's one going to be here on the 3 o'clock side, and another one is going to be over here on the 9 o'clock side. So it's kind of, they're just in line. There's just 2 screws, and they're on the back side of the steering wheel. If you can't get them in this, having the steering wheel straight, you can turn the steering wheel 90 degrees so you can get it from the top, from the back, up by the gauge cluster. So the steering wheel has those 2 bolts, like I said. I got a lot more to unthread, but it is going to be a T30 Torx bit in order to get those out. I'm not able to fit a socket in there, so I'm just using this kind of Allen style. And once you have fully taken the airbag off, you can now kind of flip it upside down and disconnect the orange connector. Now that you've taken off the airbag, you can just set this guy aside. Probably not near anything sharp in case it does explode. But now we're going to want to take off this center bolt here. Now, before you go and actually take the steering wheel off, you want to make sure that your steering wheel is straight as well as your front wheels are in alignment. Once you take this thing off, you're not going to be able to turn them anymore, and this is where mistakes can happen and you could end up offsetting your steering wheel. Now, once you've taken your steering wheel off and you've disconnected this connector here, now is when you're going to go to reinstall the OMP hub. Now, I'm going to leave this part out of the video because I'm not going to be doing it, but this is kind of where you would want to find the wiring diagram and figure out which one of these connection points links up for the horn. I don't have an alarm system in this car. I took it out, so I don't have a horn to actually use. So we're not going to be worrying about that here in this video. Once you have the new hub on, which tells you the orientation, it says top, you can now put that bolt back into the center and move on to installing this kind of washer here, line it up with the threaded holes, and use the stock or use the provided hardware to install your steering wheel. Now, the torque specification provided from OMP says this is going to be 62 Newton meters. I can't translate that into foot-pounds for you, but most torque wrenches will tell you it'll have Newton meters on there as well as foot-pounds. If not, you can just Google it. Now, that orientation of that top, I believe is just referring to the alignment of the hardware, because the steering wheel is perfectly straight now and as my wheels are aligned, but as you can see, the emblem there is kind of pointing at almost the 1 o'clock position. So I believe it's just kind of referencing this hole as the top one, but not totally sure. And now you can go ahead and install your steering wheel, tightening up all of these little Allens. Now, these little Allens are not going to be that much torque, so you just want to get them nice and tight so that the steering wheel has no play and they are not going to come loose. Again, you want to be careful with these Allens. They can strip out pretty easily, so it's just going to be a few foot-pounds to get these all tightened up. And now, once you've done with this, final step is going to be to place your horn button in and the OMP logo. And now we are all done. As you can see, it is now level with the top of the hump on the dash there, and the steering wheel is slightly smaller than the original one, but overall you can see it's real nice finish, blends super well with the car. You can now see way better inside of your gauge cluster there, and not to mention this is going to save us some weight, because that airbag is extra weight that we don't need if we have a track car. And for fun, let's take a quick little measurement of the size of each of these steering wheels. I'm sure I could have just looked this one up online, but we're just going to do it the old-fashioned way. So it's like 13 and a half. And now I'm just going to leave that there, actually. The stock wheel, which is all worn out, as you can tell. I'm glad we're finally upgrading this thing. It's for sure larger, but how much? Let's see. 15, so 1.5 inches smaller for the OMP wheel, and not to mention it's going to be a good amount less weight too. It's probably like 5 to 10 pounds difference between the steering wheel and the airbag combined, switching over to this one. But so every little bit counts. Now, in order to complete the steering wheel, I think the next step is going to be getting some aftermarket seats. Let me know in the comment section down below which ones you would recommend. I know if I got the OMP steering wheel, I should probably get OMP seats, but those are kind of decently expensive. So any other options, feel free to let me know in the comment section down below. Now, if you want to get yourself a steering wheel like this, I will go ahead and include some options down in the description down below. ECS Tuning offers a couple of different steering wheels, and I would recommend you guys get them from them because they have good customer service, and not to mention they have the hub there as well, so you can get everything that you need, steering wheel and the hub, ready to go, sent to you, and that's all you're going to need. So that is going to be it for today's video. After driving the car around, I noticed that having this smaller steering wheel and the Alcantara material to it really changes the driving experience. Being that the steering wheel is so much smaller, feels a lot more like a go-kart. Your steering responses are a little bit tighter and a little bit easier to make. One thing I instantly noticed with the steering wheel is the seats don't hold me in well enough. So like I said before, definitely time to be getting some better seats, but stay tuned for that in future videos. So thank you all for watching, and I will see you all on the next one.